Order! Order! You are an incorrigible delinquent at times. Behave yourself, man!
Now, a leading free market think tank, the Institute of Economic Affairs, has been accused of raising money by offering potential American donors who might benefit from Brexit access to senior ministers and civil servants. The Guardian, which leads with the story this morning, has been given a secretly recorded interview by Greenpeace with the IEA's director, Mark Littlewood, in which he's quoted as saying they are in the influencing game. Mr. Littlewood is on the line, so is Ben Stewart, the head of news and investigation at Greenpeace. Mr. Littlewood, this isn't what you should be doing, is it?
Of course it is. You rightly say we're a free market think tank. My job is to meet other free market people to try and persuade them to give me some money so my institute can conduct free market research so that we can influence debate and opinion in society. That's
and you
what
promise in return for that money, you promise them access to influential figures like ministers.
Let's be clear about that. I have no power over ministers. I'm not a chief whip or the leader of a party or a party chairman.
So why are you promising people access?
Well, but we can't promise people any access at all. The IEA has done spectacularly well at engaging with politicians, and my God, I think more and more politicians need engagement, particularly over issues around free trade. But any politician who engages with us does so purely because they want to listen to their ideas. I can't sack them or promote them. I have no carrot, I have no stick. If any politician of any stripe engages with the IEA, it's because they consider our ideas to be innovative, engaging or challenging. And we did pretty well on that score.
It's all right for you to go to somebody in the United States with loads of money who'd rather like to influence the way British politics is working, vis-à-vis Brexit at any rate, and to say to them, give us a load of dosh and we will use our influence to enable you to have an interview or to have a meeting or whatever, lunch, dinner, whatever it happens to be, with the minister involved. That's all right, is it?
No.
That's what PR firms do.
No. We do the research. So you've probably only heard a few clips from the transcript provided by Greenpeace, unfortunately.
Yeah, pretty damning they were too.
Greenpeace, unfortunately, have refused to provide me with the full transcript. We try to raise money to do research. We produce 1 million words of peer-reviewed research every year across about 30 or 40 publications, and that's the basis of future engagements. Yes, we organise round tables and discussions, dozens a year, with politicians, usually with journalists present, I have to say. We invite BBC journalists all the time to come along to these round tables and discussions. The research is the foundation of it, and I need to raise money for that research, so a large part of my job as the chief executive of this think tank is to find like-minded people, not just in Britain, from across the world, who might be willing to support us. We always approach these things from a free market perspective, and we make those arguments without fear or favour, and we want politicians to listen to us. I don't apologise for that.
Right, he doesn't apologise for that, Ben Stewart, and on the face of it, that sounds entirely reasonable.
Morning, John. Look, not only does Mark actually promise access to donors, he gives access to donors. He told us on tape about 2 Americans with whom he had formed a funding partnership.
You were just so the people are clear, the listeners are clear, you were posing as somebody else when you had these discussions with these interviews with Mr. Littlewood.
We were posing as a US hormone beef investor. Right. And Mark told us on the subject of the 2 Americans with whom he'd formed a funding partnership, quote, we quite often speculate to accumulate. So with the Americans coming over, we wanted to show what was possible. It was almost like a trial run. The fact that we were able to get them in to see 4 members of the House of Lords, 5 MPs for lunch, Jacob Rees-Mogg and the European Research Group.
And why shouldn't they do that?
Because, quite simply, they're donors, they're American donors, and they shouldn't have access to our politicians that normal voters don't have themselves. Look, polls show about 8% of the public agree with Mark's view of the economy. That's about 4 million people. If they all queued up outside the IEA this morning, they wouldn't have access to MPs. But if you give money to the IEA, you do have access to MPs.
Why didn't you give Mr. Littlewood the unedited transcripts? Why did you just give him extracts?
Well, it's straightforward journalistic practice to not hand over the transcripts, but we will hand over the full transcripts to the Charity Commission, who I'm sure will make a judgment about what the IEA have done here. Let's remember, of course, that Mark made various commitments to the Charity Commission around saying that he was blind to donors' interests. Well, he didn't seem very blind to the interests of our US hormone beef investor when we met him, and he's certainly not...
And that, Mr. Littlewood's a crucial point, isn't it?
Well, we have to find people with whom we have synergy. I mean, we raise money from companies, individuals, foundations. The two gentlemen that are referred to who met people in the House of Lords and the House of Commons run a free market think tank in Oklahoma with whom we are friendly. I make no apologies for bringing over Americans from a free market think tank in Oklahoma
and what about
to meet
people
British
who are
politicians.
The hormone beef?
Well, I mean, actually, the particular project that we're investigating, that I'm interested in still garnering support for, if anybody wants to support it, please go to our website and click the donate button, is actually about what will agricultural trade with the USA look like post-Brexit. And there are a lot of interesting regulatory issues on that. We're interested in studying them and researching them. I've got to raise money for that. But you will find, if you look through the IEA's 63-year archive, that we are unflinchingly approaching things consistently from a free market, free trade perspective. You can't buy our philosophy. If you want to test that, Greenpeace could make us a donation of £20,000 and see if we suddenly throw away those principles. I'd be very happy to unburden Greenpeace of that sort of sum of money, but I assure you we would not.
The offer was actually £42,500, to which you said, and this is another direct quote, we might need to take one or two people out to a private lunch. We'd take 4 seats around the table. Make sure you're sat next to Matt Ridley and or the minister who's there. You then go on to say that minister might be Michael Gove or might be a minister from DEXU or the Trade Department. Quite simply, Mr. Littlewood, you are offering donors access to ministers.
Well, hang on. We run a Christmas party every year in which there is often a senior minister who gives a speech and some Christmas cheer. It's not open to the public. The people we invite are donors, benefactors, writers and people who support the IEA. What is remotely extraordinary about that? Every think tank operates on that basis. Of course we run
Ben Stewart, every think tank, final thought, every think tank operates on that basis, he said.
Well, let's remember that the IEA comes at the bottom of the league table for transparency around donors. And another quote, everybody gets to know each other at these dinners, don't they, Mr. Littlewood? It is, quote, an opportunity for you to say, Minister, I'm very keen to bend your ear about beef from the west coast of the USA.
Yeah, we have dinners where people speak to each other.
Can I speak to one of your policy advisors about it? All of these conversations are happening because we facilitate them. Mr. Littlewood,
you can speak to each other at our dinners.
And you can speak to each other, gentlemen, and you can speak to each other after this programme is ending because we've run out of time. Thank you both very much, Ben Stewart and Mark Littlewood.